Okay, boxing fans, it does seem that David Haye is making his comeback to the ring again. He has decided that he does want to fight a Klitschko. He says they won't fight him normally, so now he has to become mandatory to get a fight with them, and that's what he's going to do. So the question is, who is David Haye going to fight? You would think that it's a long way up the ladder, but it might not be because he's a big name, he brings a lot of money, exciting fighter. It could only take one or two fights for him to become mandatory to a title shot. A lot of places do, a lot of those organisations will accept that. So who can Haye fight? Well, the first guy I'm going to talk about is the WBC mandatory Jonathan Banks, or the winner of Areola versus Stavern. So the problem with Banks is he is heavily involved in the training of Wladimir Klitschko, and if he was to face Vitali, I assume that shit would hit the fan in training camp. You know, relationships between Banks and Wladimir wouldn't be too good, and the other team members would hit breaking point, which makes me assume he's not going to be anywhere near a title shot in, well, at least while the K Brothers dynasty still lives on. So the reason he might as well face someone such as David Haye right now is he can sell himself out to the highest bidder, get a lot of money for his title shot, and then see where he goes on from there. Obviously, that we do know that if he was to do that, he would then have to face the winner of Areola versus Stavern, as those two are in a final eliminator. That would be a very good fight for the fans. You know, there's a lot of boxing fans, including myself, who A, cannot wait for this fight, and B, cannot wait to put a tenner on Stavern to knock Areola out. Because Stavern is a very big puncher, and Areola is probably overhyped. He's good, he's definitely good, he's definitely a fringe contender, but he's not the greatest fighter in the division. But the better matchup will probably be David Haye versus Chris Areola, and I think that will be quite a competitive match. Chris Areola is a better version, more gun happy, probably just as if not more as fat, and more ugly version of Chisora. But what he does bring is pressure, sheer aggression, and he's never in a dull fight. I've got to give it to Areola. I'm not a big fan, but he always is in a good fight, Areola. You know, this actually would be also a good match after David Haye knocked Areola clean out in sparring back in the day. It would be a very good fight to watch. I would like to see that fight. Other guys to mention, Thomas Adamek. He's a very small heavyweight, cannot compete against the bigger guys, is regressing in his career, and a fight against David Haye would be a good way back. You know, like I said, David Haye is another former cruiserweight. These guys will make a good fight. I like it now. Both are free. You know, it'll be an easy fight to make. Adamek, you know, is still in contention for the title shot, believe it or not, after beating USS Cunningham. Both of these guys, like I said, have huge fan bases. David Haye has got a huge fan base in the UK. It doesn't matter who he fights. Everyone's going to watch it. You love him, you hate him, you're going to watch him. You look at Thomas Adamek, he's got a huge Polish fan base. You know, that means everyone in, well, a lot of people in Poland, almost the whole Polish community in England, which would be like, I assume right now about the third of the population, and the whole population of Poland will be interested in watching that fight. So I would like to see that fight. That'll be a very good fight. Very competitive. Much more competitive than Adamek versus Wladimir Klitschko. Other guys could include the big man, Tyson Fury. Now this is actually a match that could happen, believe it or not. If he beats USS Cunningham, he'll have to do that first. He did call out David Haye, he could call him out again. Haye would therefore have to accept. Then you've got an all-British title fight. Or it wouldn't have to be a title fight, it could just be a fight, all-British fight. Doesn't need promoting. Just shove them both on a TV station, let them talk shit about each other for a little bit. You've got a blockbuster event, huge TV, you know, ratings. That'll be a decent warm-up fight for a Klitschko brother 2 for Haye. The winner can go on to fight Klitschko brother, Bob's your uncle, Fanny's your aunt. Huge fight. Other guys, Povetkin and Emmanuel Char. Starting with Povetkin, he is the current WBA normal champion, mandatory to Vladimir. I think it's a good fight for David Haye. It will be a huge fight, and I think Povetkin, who is a very hot and cold fighter in the division, sometimes he looks great fighting contenders, other times he doesn't look good fighting the world level opposition, struggling. You know, it'll be a good fight against Haye. We'll see how he would deal with that. I mean, in his last fight he didn't look too good. Well, no, he did. I mean, in his previous fight against the cruiserweight who came up, Marco Hook, he was brilliant in. You know, it'll be a good fight to see how he would, you know, deal with a different style of cruiserweight in terms of Haye, who's very slick. He's got a heavy hit to him. Could pose huge problems to Povetkin. We'll have to wait and see. Lastly, Emmanuel Char. Like I said, he did say to David Haye that he's going to fight him next after he beats Vitali. Unfortunately, he didn't beat Vitali and got stopped. So, I guess it would be a good idea for them guys to fight now, because they both lost to a Klitschko brother. They both want to get back into contention, fight each other. Brilliant. So more importantly, who do you want to see fight David Haye? You tell me. I'm listening. You tell me who you want to see fight David Haye.